Hi, I'm Jack Gately from GatelyAcademy, and in this video, we'll talk about why you might need a license, what type of licenses there are, and how do you renew your license. So, why would you need a license for real estate? Well, there's a really simple rule, which we have here on the screen. It's when you work for another for a fee. So let's come up with a scenario. Let's just say that you have a friend that wants to rent an apartment. And so your buddy calls you up and says, hey, can you hang out with me Saturday afternoon? I'm going to go look at some apartments. And, you just go out and look at apartments and then you just grab lunch later, just friends looking for an apartment for your friend. And at the end of the afternoon, your friend says, man, this is going to take a lot of my time. And then your friend says, hey, do you think you could find me an apartment? You have some extra time on your hands. How about you find me an apartment and I'll give you $500? And it sounds good, right? Oh, no, not good. That is a situation where you're working for a fee for another. Even if it's your friend, your buddy, your cousin, your mom, whatever it is, once you're getting paid, then you must have a license. So if you just want to go out and help your friend find a house or find an apartment and just, because you're friends, that's fine. But for a fee for another, that's where it crosses the line. And there are some very, very important caveats to this, or I would say, I think the better word is fine print. So let's get to the fine print. And here's the fine print. So you cannot work for a fee for another, whether it's direct or indirect, temporarily or incident to any other transaction or otherwise. Wow, that's well, in other words, there's no really wiggle room here. There's really not an exception that you can kind of creatively make so that you don't have to get a license. Let me kind of like dream one up. For instance, what if you say, hey, I'll sell your house for nothing, but you pay me $10,000 to cut your front yard? Well, yeah, you can't do that because quite clearly that is an indirect or incident to another transaction. And it's not like you can charge them zero for the house sale, but $10,000 for the cutting of the grass. You cannot do that. There's really no wiggle room here. If you thought for some creative way you could kind of get around this, no, there's no way around this. This is pretty explicit language. When you work for a fee for another, you must be licensed. So your license can be in 3 different statuses. You could be active. And so when you first pass your real estate exam, you're going to be automatically active. And you cannot go to any other phase until you reach your renewal date. And so right out of the gate, you should know that the renewal date for any active license is on your third birthday. And that's why your original license fee will be slightly prorated, because based upon the dates of when you took the exam and when your birthday is, your first license is going to go to your 3rd birthday. After that, it will go on a 2-year cycle. After that, it'll be going on a 2-year cycle. And a quick note, you cannot get licensed and then immediately go inactive. No, you can't. You've got to go through the whole period of time until your 3rd birthday, and only then can you move over and be inactive. A quick note here, too, might be slightly out of order, but it's a good point to make. Remember, you can never have more than one Massachusetts license at a time, and if you have been previously licensed, you must either reinstate or reactivate that old license. You cannot just simply get a new license. Boy, that does sound like a good test question. Now, after some time, you're going to hit your renewal date. And if you renew, then you'll stay active. But if you don't renew, then you'll become what we call inactive. And that is a status which lasts also for 2 years. And you can stay inactive for 2 years. If you let it go longer than 2 years, then you'll get what we call expired, longer than 2 years. So in other words, 2 years beyond your renewal date, if you don't do anything, you're going to be considered expired. The process to get your license back if expired is called reinstatement. The process to get it back if it's less than 2 years is called reactivation. There is a separate form for each on the board website. Make sure you use the right one. When it does come time for renewal, which will be on your birthday, and if you're not sure, some people lose track of these things. Did I renew last year, or is this my year to renew? You can always go to the board website and check your own license. You can always check your own license if you're not sure exactly when it renews. It will always be on your birthday, but you might not be sure what year because you just lost track of it. If you're not sure, or for instance, you're not sure how long it's been since you let it lapse, since you fell into the inactive state, you can always go to the state website and look your own license up. But when it does come to that time, you hardly likely, for renewal, are going to need continuing education. Now, the current standard is 12 hours of continuing education. Jack, can I get that anywhere? No. It has to be 12 hours by an authorized Massachusetts real estate school. Now, some people can get that on the internet, and there is a number of real estate schools that offer it on the internet. Sometimes you'll have somebody at your real estate office that will sponsor a free continuing education opportunity. Oftentimes that is sponsored by, for instance, a law office or a mortgage company. That's fine. That is totally legal. And they're going to sponsor some authorized real estate school to provide a continuing education module. It's usually like a 2-hour lesson. Every continuing education unit must be 2 hours, so you need 6 altogether. There are particular curriculum topics, and you want to make sure that the topic that is being offered is one of the approved topics. I'm sure the real estate school has double-checked that before they offered it. And you can also go to a hotel. You can take it. Highly likely, you're probably going to get some mail in the mailbox. That's actually probably the first reason why you know that it's time for renewal, is because a lot of real estate schools actually mail you a reminder. By the way, not my real estate school. We don't do mail. But some real estate schools still mail reminders out to have you take their continuing education. Nonetheless, you gotta get it done. The current standard is 12 hours. As I mentioned in one of the other videos, one of the more common violations before the board is when people say they did their continuing education, but did not in fact do it. So when you renew, you have to check a box that swears that you did your continuing education. Unfortunately, some people check that box even though they didn't do the continuing education. So that is called obtaining or maintaining your real estate license by false representation. And you can lose your license like that, or at least get disciplined by the board. Maybe be a short-term suspension. It's going to depend upon the circumstances. But don't run the risk. Before your birthday, get that 12 hours of continuing education taken care of.